Hello, friends. I, on behalf of Insight Education, welcome you all on the journey of NEET 2022. So, a series of video lectures of biology will be presented by me, and I am hopeful that it will be helpful to you for preparation of NEET examination. So, starting with our journey, a very basic definition which you all will be able to answer. What is biology? Now, this you must have learned in your secondary education, but still, I would like to make a broader understanding of biology. So, word bio is made up of, or biology is made up of two words. Bio refers to life, and logy refers to study. So, in a way, if you just combine these two words, it becomes it is the science of life forms and living processes. So it is easy to understand this one, that definitely wherever you are learning biology, it is definitely is considering the living organisms. But then what is these living processes, or what are these living processes? Living processes are nothing but they are essential activities to support the life of this living organism. Say, for example, if you consider a case of human, circulation, respiration, excretion, digestion, reproduction, these are all living processes, and these living processes, they do support these life forms. I hope it is now clear. If someone asks you that what are divisions of biology, what is you are going to learn in the biology, so the answer that comes into your mind is definitely it is made up of two divisions. Which are those two divisions? That is botany and zoology. Some of you will also say that definitely, sir, you also need to cover microbiology. That also is a true. But we can divide the world of biology in two eras: before the discovery of microscope and after the discovery of microscope. So before the discovery of microscope, there were only two divisions. And today also, right, definitely microbiology is a part of biology, but largely you are going to get details of botany and zoology in your curriculum. Fine. So, what is botany? Definitely it deals with the plants and the processes related with the plant. Similarly, in zoology, you are going to get details of animals, animal kingdom, human physiology. These are some of the units which are under the topic of zoology. And finally, as I told you, that after discovery of microscope, that is somewhere in early in the 17th century, it was possible to see the organisms which you are not able to see with naked eyes, and that is microbes. Right, again the word microbes means one which is of very small size, and that's why you call it as a microbes. And logy, as we have seen here, logy refers to study, so that's why it is study of microorganism. That is what microbiology is. Additionally, we are also having some topics like genetics, biotechnology, ecology. These are also important divisions of biology, and we are going to get details of that also. So, in that sense, we are not going to have pure biology concepts in our curriculum for our understanding. We are going to get integrated disciplinary approach. Now, what is this integrated disciplinary approach? If you are knowing a concept of chemistry and you are taking the use of these concepts to understand biology, it becomes biochemistry. So you can get an idea that this definitely biochemistry is an integrated disciplinary science, and this type of approaches are not designed to make your studies complex. These are been considered to make your studies more understandable and enjoyable. A very important sentence in initial introduction of NCERT is mentioned that the study should be enjoyable. The learning has to be enjoyable, and that is what your syllabus is designed for. And I assure you that with Insight Education, the learning is definitely going to be enjoyable and understandable. Okay, just like we have learned for biochemistry, similar concept you can consider for biophysics. So biophysics, you take the laws of physics into consideration for understanding biology. We will take this type of an examples when we will study physiology of muscle contraction or action potential of a neuron. Okay, such approaches are very much important to understand the biology, and that is why they are incorporated in our learning aspects. One more and interesting approach that has been adopted in understanding the biology is referred as a reductionist biology. Now, this reductionism, concept of reductionism, it states that understanding the more simple parts of a system is very crucial to understand the system. And that's why the definition that is mentioned in your book is the physico-chemical approach to study and understand living organism is called as a reductionist biology. Now, you must be thinking that what sort of approach we are discussing here. I will give you an example. Say, for example, you have a very basic idea of chemistry, physics. You know which are these atoms, how they will make a bond, how they will behave in solutions, how they will react. And on basis of these concepts of chemistry, now you will be able to understand how carbohydrates are made, how proteins are made, what DNA is made up of. If you are able to understand these simple molecules, then you will be able to understand macromolecules, their assemblies, the way cell organelles are created. Right? You must be knowing the word organ. So from that one, the word organelle has been derived. So ELLE, right? L refers to small. So organelle is a small organ, right? Just like a small organ. And that is what the components of a cell. A cell contains lots of cell organelles, like mitochondria is cell organelle. So if you are able to understand these all biological networks, then you will be able to understand cells. If you are able to understand cell, then you will be able to understand tissue, finally the organisms, and definitely then on a larger scale you will be able to understand ecosystem. This is called as a bottom up approach. If you are going for a reverse, it is called as a top down approach. That also is a possible, but our curriculum is designed for such approaches, what we call as a bottom up approach. And this bottom up approach is defined is as concept of reductionism, right? So if someone asks you what is reductionist biology, the answer will be in this way. One more example. If you are knowing the concepts of physics and chemistry, and then you apply for biology, say for example understanding the structure and function of a neuron, then you will be able to understand neuroscience. And if you are knowing this neuroscience, then and then you will be able to understand the psychological behavior. Without that, it is not possible. Now I hope that you are very clear with this approach. And with this, I am now discussing you the curriculum of the syllabus for NEET 2022 examination. So in class 11 and class 12, we are going to study 5 units each, total 10 units. 5 units in the class 11 and 5 units in the class 12. And this unit we are going to start with unit number 3, that is cell structure and function. That is what we are going to start with our studies. Similarly, as I told you in class 12, these 5 units are there. Individual topics and the chapters which we are going to understand under this heading, we will discuss wherever we will start that topic. So starting with unit number 3, that is cell structure and functions, right? So cell biology, that is what the unit number 3 is. Now it is my request to all of you that wherever you start the learning of any chapter or any unit, you just go through the analysis of last 10 years, or not, if not 10 years, at least 5 years study, that how many questions are asked from this unit, how many questions are asked from this chapter. That question you always ask. So these are 3 chapters under unit number 3 in the 11th biology. First, that is cell, the unit of life, biomolecules, and third one is cell cycle and cell division. So these 3 chapters, on an average, if you take an average of this, they are asked as 9 questions, right, in the examination. 9 questions nowadays. If you just, even if you take last 3 examination of NEET, right, you take an average, so that is somewhere around 9 to 10 questions, and one question carries 4 marks, so that is 36 marks, and that's quite huge weightage. So considering these topics are very easy, right, length also, they are not that lengthy, so weightage is quite good. But remember that this you are learning right now, and you are going to get examination of this after 2 years. So it is very important that you understand the topic and you don't mug up the topics. If you mug up, definitely in chapter examination you will score very good, but then in unit examination, or maybe when whole syllabus is there, then you will find some difficulties. So this is an analysis of last 10 years. As I told you that this unit is asked in quite huge number, but if you compare the 3 chapters, then also this cell chapter, it is been asked highest among these 3 chapters in the unit. Okay, so it is my request to go through each and every details of cell. Not only the marks point of view, exam point of view, but understanding point of view, cell chapter is very important, because each and every chapter of zoology and botany, you will need the concepts of cell. Even in the microbiology, you will need these details, basic details. Without this, right, you will feel incomplete, right? So starting with this very important chapter, what we call as a cell. Cell is referred as a smallest structural and functional unit of living body. Definitely in biology we are going to deal with the living organism only. And in that case, if someone asks you that what your body is composed of, what will be your answer? Some of you will say that, sir, it is made up of heart, stomach, right? Some of you will say, sir, digestive system, circulatory system. Yes, definitely these are organ systems. So it is made up of organ systems. But these organ systems are made up of what? It is made up of organs. Like say for example digestive system, starting with your teeth, tongue, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, rectum, right? So these are all organs which make your organ system. Again, question is the case that what these organ systems are composed of, sorry, organs are composed of. So then again you will say, sir, stomach is made up of some tissues like connective tissue, some muscles, some nerves, some blood vessels. So yes, definitely. So these are all individual tissues. Then again question arises, what is this tissue? So these tissues are nothing but they are a group of a cell, highly specialized cells, which are united together to perform a unique task. So ultimately tissues are made up of cells. And the question that what your body is composed of, the answer will be cell. This is regarding structural activity, structural description, that yes, many cells will make a tissue, but then not to forget that function also is a combined activity of all of these cells. So it is not only structural but also a functional unit of living body. Same way you can consider in your one more example that I would like to tell, right, regarding the understanding of cell. Say for example your school, you consider that school is body. So you must be having many floors in your school, ground floor, first floor, second floor. Each of these floor you may be having classrooms, and each of this classroom you may be having many benches, and in many benches maybe it's your seat also that you will be considering, and that seat is nothing but it is a smallest structural and functional unit of your school, and that is how you can understand that is your cell, right? Each of that bench will create a classroom, many classrooms will create one floor, many floors will create one school. That is how you can understand the body, how your body is organized. Okay. Likewise, one more example, that this building of your school, right, which you have taken into example, many floors are there, many floors, many rooms are there, and each room you have walls, and that walls are made up of a brick, and that bricks are building block of that school. Similarly, cell also is a building block of life. Okay, so this is what we are going to revise. Cells, cells which are similar in origin, similar in structure, and united together to perform a unique task. This group of cell is referred as tissue. These tissues are of different types. Say for example, there are four main types, starting with the first one, epithelial tissue. Epi refers to above and thelial refers to covering tissue, right? So one which is a covering tissue over organs, epithelial tissue, you will always observe as the outermost and innermost layer in any organ, and on basis of this characteristic it is been named as epithelial. Okay, which is mainly having function of protection as well as other function also, which will get details in the other chapter. Second tissue is connective tissue. Why do we call it as a connective tissue? Because it connects two different tissues. Which tissues? Like say for example a muscular tissue and epithelial tissue, or maybe two muscular tissue. So the tissue which is having a function of connection, that's why we call it as a connective tissue. Okay, so say for example blood connects whole body, a ligament which connects two bones. So these are having the function of connection, and that's why we call it as a connective tissue. Third one, as I've shown in the previous you said click, is muscle. right? So muscular tissue, and there are three types of muscles: skeletal muscles, smooth muscle, and a cardiac muscle. We'll definitely get details wherever that chapter is been taken for the tissue. Right now we are just going through the types of tissue. And the fourth one and the last, that is not definitely more important, is a nervous tissue. So this all tissues, right, definitely this is the one which is performing the function of senses, right, which carries the senses from organ to the your brain and spinal cord, and from brain to the organs, right, all type of an intermediate functions, right. These all are functions of nervous tissue, highly specialized tissue. So these all are types of tissue. Now here two things are very important to consider. Which 2 points? One point, that is regeneration power, and second point is the power of excitability. If you compared these four tissues, then definitely these tissues, if you go from the down to the upside, then this nervous tissue, it is having highest excitability, right? Say for example this tissue, highest excitability in a sense that wherever you touch a hot surface, immediately that temperature is converted in electrical stimuli, and within no time that electrical stimuli is conveyed to your brain. So excitability is high. Here also excitability is high. Cardiac muscle, if you just see, skeletal muscle, smooth muscle, definitely they are able to pass this excitability. They are not able to generate the excitability, but they are able to pass. So these two tissue, that is muscular tissue and nervous tissue, because they are having an ability to excite, to generate and pass these electrical impulses, that's why we define these tissues as excitable. Connective tissues and epithelial tissue, definitely they are not having such ability, that's why they are non-excitable tissues. Okay, we will classify it as a non-excitable tissues, while muscular tissue and nervous tissue are excitable tissues. But when God takes away something from you, definitely it gives in other form. So epithelial tissue and connective tissue are definitely non-excitable, but they must be having some other properties, and that properties are in terms of regeneration power. Epithelial tissue is the one which is having the highest regeneration power, right? You must be aware of your skin is definitely is almost having a highest regeneration power, your epithelia of your gastrointestinal tract. These are some of the tissues where the epithelial tissues are there, and they are having a wearing and tearing. Daily they are having lots of wearing and tearing, and because they are able to regenerate, that's why they are able to cop up. So here the power of cell division is highest. If you go to the downside, then definitely connective tissue has less ability to regenerate. Epithelial tissue can be regenerated daily. Connective tissues like your adipose tissue, or maybe you can say that blood, cartilages, bones, they do divide. It's not like that they cannot divide, but maybe they will divide after days, after months, right? It will take some time. Similarly, muscular tissue, skeletal muscle, smooth muscle, they can divide, but they will divide only if there is a very high demand from body. Sometimes they do justify the demand by just changing their shape. Say for example, this is the original shape of a cell. They will increase their size, they will not divide. So the ability to divide in these cells of skeletal muscle, smooth muscle is limited. They are not able to divide as fast as connective tissue and connective tissue is not able to divide as fast as epithelial tissue can. If you still move to the tissues like downwards, right, like cardiac tissue and nervous tissue, then the power of regeneration is absent. That means mature neuron and mature cardiac muscle cell, they are not able to divide at all. Now this is very interesting, right, that these tissues are not able to divide at all. So when you go for the power of excitability, definitely the excitability decreases if you move from this nervous tissue to epithelial tissue. This muscular and nervous tissue are only an excitable type, while if you go for a power of regeneration, then epithelial is having highest regeneration, connective is still less, skeletal muscle, smooth muscle still with lesser properties, but cardiac muscle, nervous tissue, that is neuron, they are not able to divide at all. These are some peculiarities of the tissues. Again, moving towards the topic which you are learning, different cells that is designed to perform a unique task will create tissues. These tissues, once they are organized, they will create organ. I will give you an example. Stomach is an organ which is having all types of tissue. Actually, all organ, they have all four types of tissue. They have epithelial as a covering tissue. They have muscles so that they can work properly. They are the one which makes the major weight of the organ. To connect this epithelial and muscle, you always have connective tissue, right? And finally, you also have neurons, and that is how they are able to sense the changes in external and internal environments. So different tissues, they create organs. Different organs, they create organ systems, right? Say for example, your teeth, esophagus, pharynx, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, rectum, this united together to make digestive system. Many such systems are there: respiratory system, circulatory system, excretory system, reproductive system, endocrine system, right? You can prepare a list of such system, and this all system, when they perform together, they create a complex body. This is how you can understand cell as a building block of life. Okay, I hope I have made it quite clear to you that why it is referred as a structural and functional unit of the body. So the word cell is derived from a single word, simple word, that is called as a cellula, and this was discovered by a scientist, Robert Brown, right? Very important name to remember. We will definitely get details of this in the next lecture that we are going to learn. And he termed it as a cellula because Robert Brown was a curious like you, and with microscope somewhere in 1665 he tried to observe cork of a plant, Spanish oak, and he took a section and he observed under microscope. Definitely the cells were dead, and the structure of cell was like this. It was like a honeycomb. Okay, it was just like a benzene ring, and this structure, it was having a very, you can say that, thick wall were because the plants have a lignified cell wall. That's why they appear as a thick. And just for example, I am drawing thick part only on two sides, otherwise it is on all sides. But this thick walled structure, inside was a hollow space because the organelles were absent, and organelles were absent because it was a dead cell. So it was looking like, more or less, it was looking like a small room. And because it was looking like a small room, the first word that came out of the mouth of Robert Brown was cellula, and that is a Latin term actually. So from this word cellula, it is now been in English, it is been called as a cell, right? So a cell is Cell was discovered by Robert Brown, but remember that the cell that was discovered by Robert Brown was a dead cell. And in that case, if someone asks you that who discovered living cell, then your answer will be Antony von Leeuwenhoek, right? So you need to be very precise when you are giving answers, because in exam questions could be asked who discovered first cell. In that case, answer will be Robert Brown. Who discovered first dead cell? Again, answer will be same, Robert Brown. But who discovered first living cell? Then answer will be Antony von Leeuwenhoek. Okay. So with this I am completing my first lecture. In second lecture we will get more details of the topic cell. Thank you very much.